Hello there. It's really hot in here. Today I kind of didn't have a video ready. Once again, uh, this is actually really hard, making a video every day, coming up with a new topic. I really like philosophy, so I think I'm going to talk a little more about that. Today I'm going to talk about just the universe as a whole and the nature of the universe, and by extension the nature of human beings. Um, a lot of people consider human beings to be either good natured or bad natured. Like, they consider human nature to be at best selfish, or like if they think that we're bad, or at worst misled and confused if they think we're all good. Personally, I don't believe in any of that. When it comes to human nature, I believe in individual nature, and I think the only way you can actually prove individual nature is if you get to know the person for a long time and see consistently how they act. And that's the only proof. And even then it's not entirely proof, because some people are just brilliant enough to hide it all. However, that's definitely the best chance that we have to understand an individual's nature. Pardon me for having this be a little bit shaky. I'm filming it with a different camera. Um yeah, so the a lot of people also believe the same kind of thing about the universe. I personally disagree. I think that the universe isn't tough, um, just inherently just shitty and evil and hard, but it's also not inherently good and calm and easy and everything like that. There's really a whole wide range of different possibilities. I personally believe in infinity. I know a lot of people don't, but to me, I've always been able to, like, I'm not going to get too deep into it today. I might some other day. But I've always been able to see that everything that ends has another thing just like it that begins. Even if it isn't that exact same thing, the energy is still there. And it's kind of the whole um, law of conservation of energy, that you cannot create nor destroy energy. But I think it goes beyond that as well. I think that the entire universe as a whole really is just infinite. Like, even when the universe ends, there's going to be another one that starts. And even beyond, I personally believe that beyond what we can sense in the four dimensions that we can sense of the x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, and then time. I think there's probably lots and lots of other, possibly even an infinite number of dimensions beyond it, or perhaps it just goes to a point that is infinite, that births everything else, that we could essentially kind of call heaven, in a sense, like the highest dimension. Uh, where was I about the universe not being good nor evil? Oh yeah, I think most people can really see pretty clearly that the universe is neither good nor evil per se. That it really is kind of what you make of it. I think there's lots of interesting ways to make the universe better. Personally, I also believe that everything in the universe is connected in some way, and probably connected in many ways that we will never be able to prove, and may never even be able to sense in any way. Um, One way that I think we can sense, but we're not going to be able to prove, is essentially the law of attraction. That the law of attraction states that like energy will attract like energy. Like energy will attract like energy. There we go. And the key with that is that if you try to take advantage of the law of attraction, you will not just get what you want, you're going to get what you are. And so, if you want to attract money, you have to learn to be somebody that has a hunger for money, and has a hunger for providing value that could be easily transmuted or translated into I just heard a noise out there, into a monetary value. Also, if you want love, you have to become a person that's loved by yourself and others. If you want accomplishment, you have to become a person that regularly completes tasks. And all this sounds kind of simple at first glance. It's just whenever you say it, it's kind of like, okay, so to become this, you just do this. The same thing. I mean, yeah, but how do you really become something else? And that's where it gets to be a little more complex. That's where things like the flow of energy in the universe comes into play. Stars, for example, they exist because somehow so much energy was pulled into one place that the density of that, of all of the gravity of that, ended up fusing some of the atoms and some of the elements and ends up making a star. Planets are very similar. Planets form by a collection of dust that happens to get so massive in such a small amount of place, of physical space, that gravity forms around it and pulls it in, but it never gets to be so strong that it gets anywhere near that of a star. I really think that human beings trying to grow and trying to attract something through the law of attraction kind of works the same way. In order to do so, you have to kind of create a gravity inside of yourself, kind of create a vacuum of that energy. I know a lot of people in the personal development scene call that a hunger. So you have to be hungry. You have to create that hunger within yourself. And then that hunger will pull the energy toward you. So, if there was another thought that I had here. I feel like I'm just kind of rambling a little bit. Anyway, it's kind of a rambly episode. But yeah, so the key to the law of attraction is to work that hunger, is to make sure that you are able to that you have a gravity that needs more energy, so that energy pulls toward you. And keep in mind that a lot of people, even though they do work with some other ways of law of attraction, that some sort of intention manifestation kind of thing, they haven't really created that deep inner gravity and vacuum inside of themselves to pull all that energy toward them. And so the energy comes to them and then it leaves them, and it makes them feel even more empty, even more like their life is pointless. And so don't fall into that trap. If you're going to be using the law of attraction, the way to do it is to make sure that you build that hunger, that you build such a strong desire. And it's not even desire, it's something kind of beyond that. I can't even quite describe it. But that's the only way that you're going to not, gain a fortune then lose it, like winning the lottery. Like most people that win the lottery that just don't have the mindset and the flow of energy toward them, and the holding on of the energy in their chest or wherever they hold it, to continue to be rich, to continue to be rich. Instead, they blow it all away too soon, and the energy just leaves them, and then they feel even worse afterward. That also happens in the universe, and that's kind of what physicists call the law of thermodynamics, which just states that everything else being equal, energy will move from a point of high density to a point of lower density. And the only thing that, well, not the only thing, but one of the things that will continue to keep energy in its place is some sort of form of gravity, some sort of massive pull. Well, yeah, I think that I got out a decent bit. I kind of went off on a tangent. I didn't quite talk so much about human nature. I did more the nature of the universe, but I think human nature is I guess I went over it. It's pretty simple. Anyway, I may talk about that later. Otherwise, you guys have a good night. Peace out.